Welcome to the Indomitable podcast. I'm your host, Di Cerullo, and today we have another great episode that will leave you inspired. My guest today is the indomitable Damaly Shepherd. Damali is a published photographer and a writer who specializes in creating fun and luxurious experiences to help bring out the best in each of her clients. Her life's mission is to help women feel comfortable enough to express themselves in photo form without fear, hiding, and opinions of others. Her clients praise her for her unique take on portraits and personal branding and her commitment to diversity. Wow, that is awesome. Okay, hello, Damali. I am so grateful to have you here.
Hey, Dee. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
My name is Damaly Shepherd. I'm from New York City. I run a portrait studio in Brooklyn, New York. Like the bio said, I really love to work with all folks, but especially women and folks who identify as women. And I love to create a beautiful experience and moment for them to explore some of those really deep-seated dreams and things that they weren't sure about and help them
Yes.
bring that to life in photo form. So that is my love. Like I said, I write, I also coach, and yeah, I'm first generation American. I was born in Guyana, but I've been in New York ever since. So that is like a little overview on Damali.
Yes. So, I have you here because I have been lurking on your photos for what I feel like must be like 3 years now. And every time I see you post something, I think to myself, oh my gosh, this completely captures this person's awesomeness. Like I will see photos all the time. I follow a lot of photographers. I follow a lot of people that are creating art all the time. Somehow you are creating images that capture just the absolute spark of joy that a person is feeling in that moment. And I've just been stunned by your photos over the years. And I just was like, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to see if she wants to talk about this. So I guess my question to you is, what do you see that maybe other people don't see when you are taking those photos of these amazing and badass women that you photograph?
Okay, I feel like there's two answers to the question.
Okay. Yes.
And it starts before the photo, right?
Okay.
Like
Yes.
when you were talking, all I could think about was the fact that I just get to capture the happiness that we worked through on that day, right? So
Right.
before we get to the camera, before we get to the photo shoot day, I have a call before my session where we really get into what they want, what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing. I help them feel a little bit safer because photo shoots are hard, right? This is dealing
Yes.
with seeing ourselves. Looking at yourself can be very difficult. We all of us, no matter what the world or the beauty standard is, right? We all have um interesting ideas about the way that we look, and looking at ourselves can be difficult. So I love to
Yeah.
have a call before my session where we get to talk that through, where we get to think about the vision, where we get to say what feels safe and what doesn't feel safe. And all of that, I think, helps my clients walk in. They're still nervous. Of course, everybody's always nervous, me too.
Really?
But they know that they're walking into a scenario of support, of care, of love, where they can speak up, where they can advocate for themselves, where they can say, I'm uncomfortable. And I think because my folks know that, they
Yeah.
feel very safe. It really allows us to capture what you're talking about. So we're just having fun on these photo shoot days, and I just get to click the button on that. Like I wish that there were more secrets about it, but I think we just get to have a lot of fun together.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I hear you say that, but like I'm like, do you not even know how magical you are? Is that what's happening here? Like I'm sitting here thinking like I can't even I know that sounds completely bizarre, but like sometimes you know what I'm going to do, y'all? I'm going to put like some of her photos in like the show notes because you're sitting there and you're looking at these things and you're just like, "Oh my god, she's just captured the spark of life joy that this woman is feeling." And it's just like I have been stunned so many times just looking at your photos. So I guess what my next question would be, what do most people struggle with before when they come to you? What are they you say that they're nervous. What are they struggling with?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really, really great question. It varies, right? We all have our
Right.
different things, but for the most
Mhm.
part, I think one of the bigger issues I often see is that they have this idea of how they want to look, but they've never created it before. So it's just like doing anything else, right? Like when you say, I
Right.
want to be an astronaut,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, how do I become an astronaut, right? So it's like, I want to
Right.
take this beautiful photo. I think I have this idea, but they don't actually know like what it looks like. Sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's a word, and they're
Right.
just like, how the hell am I going to translate that into a photo? And so that's where we work on it together. So
Right.
I love questions. I love to understand people. And so we really get to spend time together teasing out all these little bits and pieces. When it's personal branding for the
Right.
client, it's very much about who them and who they are with their brand, right? And what that looks like. And
Mhm.
so what words describe that, and then getting to a place of like, well, what could this look like? I think
Yeah.
that like I'm very exploratory. It's very
Mhm.
different with every single client. Um, but taking them from a space of I think I want to do this to
Mhm.
okay, I got you, we're gonna figure it out together, I think helps folks get to that end result that they end up really loving. So the confusion, the deer in the headlights, I think is probably one of the bigger things that we work
Right.
through, just from the I'm just not really understanding what they want, but knowing that they want to be in my photos. Like most folks are like, I
Right.
don't really know, but like I know I want to look like the other folks
Right.
that you photographed. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So this year, and I told you this. So this year, when it was time to like think about what kind of resolutions I wanted to make for the year, I always make the same terrible ones each year that aren't very specific. I don't really hang on to them for very long. I think that's true for most people. But
Mhm.
this year, I was like, I am getting photographed by Damali the way I've always wanted to. And the funniest thing happened to me like a few days ago, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm coming to Boston, and who wants to be photographed by me?" I'm like, "Obviously, this is the universe telling me it's my time. I am doing it now." So I was and when you say people just want to be in your photographs, that's exactly it, right? I have no plan. I have no idea. I have no idea what I would want it to look like at all. I'm just like, she's gonna know and it's gonna be great. So that's my whole plan. My whole plan was like,
Absolutely.
I am gonna lean into this and it's gonna be fantastic and I'm gonna be so excited. So like you're totally
Love it.
right. I'm just people just want to be photographed by you. People just want you
Mhm.
to capture that magic about, who they are. I mean, I remember God, who was saying it? I think Jack was saying it, that she was talking about like how she wanted to be photographed by you so that like her kids could see someday how awesome their mother was. And I just thought, oh, that's so cool, man. Like that's in this day and age, I'm like, that's such a cool thing that you're
Yeah.
able to do.
One of the things my one of my makeup artists, Jason, says is remember me like this. Like we'll do the hair and the makeup and we'll put on the
Yeah,
dress. They'll be in the chair and we'll start to pose. And Jason just yelled it out. And I was like, exactly. That's exactly what we're doing here. It's like, remember me like this. Remember me in my
right.
laughter. Remember me in my beauty. Remember me in my bravery, in my strength, right? Like those are the things that I love to capture and get a hold of.
And that's exactly what you do. You're exactly right. So you do know how magical you are. Okay, cool. That just needed to be teased out and clarified. Okay. So I'm amazed that you also do like personal branding. Tell me a little bit about what you offer for that.
Yeah, personal brand, honestly, everything is treated very similarly for me. It's not that
Mhm.
different. It's
Right.
more because really personal branding for the folks I work with, it's like I'm photographing the woman the way that she wants to be photographed. That is my take to
Exactly.
personal branding photography. If you look at it, you don't see it doesn't feel like traditional personal branding, which honestly really
Right.
scared me when I
Right.
decided to make this offering. I was like, I don't think my work looks like personal branding work. And Susie Cater, who was doing the web copy for my
Mhm.
website, was like, "Oh no, this is exactly what they need," and she was right. Thank you, Susie.
Yeah.
That we needed something different, and it's been so fulfilling to see folks look at my work, which feels a little. It's different. It's studio. It's portrait. It's a
It's
little
different.
editorial. It's like backdrops
Yes.
and all these things that you don't always see that in personal branding. For folks to see
No.
that and say, actually, that is what my brand feels like. Actually,
Yes.
this is how I want my audience to view me, is just like the best thing.
Yes.
So I approach it really similarly. I want to understand them. I want to understand their business. I want to understand where they're going. And then I like to help together ways to tell those stories in as many different ways as we can.
Oh, absolutely. I was just going to say, personal branding, the thing that you can see in other people must make personal branding work so much easier for you because you are understanding who they authentically are, and not even just who they authentically are, who they authentically want to be. And so that
Mhm.
must be just absolutely where your magic spot is, where you're just like, yep, this is the thing I do, this is the thing I see. Feels like you could do like 4 other awesome things for clients, like just based on that one ability, right?
It's the best. And one of the greatest compliments I get from my personal branding clients is that it often leads to rebrand. It often leads to a shifting. I've had folks
I'm
raise their
sure.
prices after working together because
Yes.
now they feel so damn expensive. Like they, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I've had folks put their photos on the website and think, well, now my website looks like crap
Right, you gotta
comparison
redo it. You're
to
like,
how good
yeah.
these photos are. So it's
Yeah.
very fun to get to help folks reach that elevated space that they were looking for, and then see how that
Yeah.
how it like echoes out in all of these different ways for them. It's really beautiful. It's like it's personal, it's who they are, but it's also like in this business, it's also design, it's also aesthetic. Like it's a lot of things at once.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Like I was thinking how, you know, coaching must just come naturally for that. Like just I mean, right? Like it must just be that's just like the next natural step. So when you're saying, "Oh, I don't know if like I'm traditional enough for that." I'm like, who would want in this day and age the traditional like to look like everybody else? I don't want to look like everybody else. I want to get photographed by Damali and look like a queen and raise my prices. Like, are you kidding me? I want to get booked for every speaking gig because I look like I just Beyonce'd in. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Of course I want that. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
So you do coaching. What do you coach?
I help other photographers with their content. So I help I listen, me at my core, I love helping people see themselves, right? So
Right.
everything that I
Right.
do echoes out into that same way. So I'm very expressive on social media. I really do make a lot of effort to be vulnerable and say the things that I
Yes.
want to say and talk
Yes.
about my business and make those invitations. And that is something that artists and creatives and everyone, but especially us artists and creative, struggle a
Yes.
lot with. So I help other photographers hone their own voice, hit on the messaging points, be like them so that they can stop hating social media so much. Because I think that while there are messy things about social media, there are some beautiful things out there for us too.
Yes. I am also a social media hater. Like I am just I do it cuz I have to
I
and
get it.
I feel like sometimes I'm more sassy than I would be otherwise. Like I wouldn't be so grouchy if I didn't still have to be here since college. You know what I mean? It feels like a stage that you never get to leave. Like
Oh,
when Facebook came about, right? And when we were like oh, you're younger than me, but like Facebook came to be like when I was like in 2006, right? So like
mhm,
it started then and has been
mhm.
going all of this time. And it feels like you never get a break from it. People need to be able to reach you, they need to be able to talk to you, they need to have their opinions at you, and it feels like it has just been going on for such a long time. And every time I think to myself, that's it, Di, we're getting rid of social media, we're not doing this, we're not expanding to every platform, we're just going to close it down. There's another one and you got to do it, and like it's just oh my god, and it just like sets off my ADHD because I just hate to have to do things that I just don't want to do. So I'm probably like saltier on social media than I would be anywhere else in my life because I'm just like good to see y'all here again. Like good morning, everybody's still alive, what's the status report, you know, like are we good? So like, oh my god, I am absolutely a social media hater. I am so proud of you.
I know. I listen. I'm a realist. Okay, I am a
Yeah.
hater and a lover at once. I do not always love to be online, and I also think that
Mhm.
because of that, the way that I treat it is like if I'm there, I'm there, and if I'm not, I'm not. And so, like,
Yeah.
I feel like my own little magical key, which is not, it's not always the great. Like there's down points to this, but I genuinely honor my moods when it comes to being on social media. And there are
Yes.
times
Yeah.
when I don't want to be there, I don't force myself to be there. I don't care what I'm
Yeah.
watching. And this is again, like
Yes.
other social media folks are like, don't listen to her, like pre-plan yourself. I get it.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Yeah.
that's not me. And
Yeah.
what I do works for me because I am
Yeah.
a lower volume
Mhm.
studio, right? Like I don't need to.
Right.
I'm not booking 400 people
Right.
like that's not
Right.
my MO at all. So the
Right.
flow that I have is me allowing myself to show up when I am feeling that energy, when I want to tell those stories, when I'm excited about what I'm working on. That makes social media really fun and easy. And knowing that there are going to be points in the month where I'm going to go hide under the covers, maybe
Yes.
recover from all
Yes.
that
Mhm.
visibility, I think helps me
Mhm.
feel a lot more in balance, and I don't hate it as much. I hate it sometimes. I'm like, I like it. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's fine. I don't like, like I'm no
Yeah.
judgment there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, now that I do this, I do more Instagram. So, like,
Yeah.
I will just, and it's so wild because on TikTok, people are just so much more supportive. And I don't know if it's because, like, it's a younger crowd or what, or the
Mm,
general, like, content that I share or the way that I express myself. Who knows, right? But you put it on Instagram and, like, it goes different. Like, people will
yeah.
just have some feedback for you that maybe they have no right to have. And you're just like, wow, okay, that's great. You woke up this morning and decided that all the things you felt for yourself, you were going to spread out throughout the day on other people who were just there. I can't plan out my social content because the world doesn't exist for me that way, right? Like if I
I
am
understand.
authentically dealing with each and everything that's happening in the world, if I'm dealing with it, y'all, you have to deal with it too. Because like, right? Like, oh my God, no. I can't be doing this by myself. I can't be dealing with this stuff. I can't be quietly thinking about it. I have ADHD and look at me. I never shut up. Like how am I
Right.
supposed to live like that? No. So, I'm not a good candidate for social media. So, sorry folks. Sorry
Oh,
friends. I can't
and
plan in
honestly,
advance.
we don't all have to be. Like I feel like we don't all have to be. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this is like any other profession. Like this,
Yes.
or any other
Yes.
space. We don't all have to love
Yes.
everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, totally. I don't know how to be authentic fakely. Like there's it just doesn't people are sort of peddling authenticity through an extremely fake lens. And I'm never
Ooh,
sure how that works because for me, everything I'm feeling, every pain that I'm having, everything I'm dealing with out in the world, all my parenting, I have two neurodivergent children. So like I don't have the space to think about something fake to tell you. I don't
mhm.
have the emotional space to pretend I'm, you know, sad while I'm actually like whatevering. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
always going to know how I'm feeling because I don't suffer in silence at all. Anyway.
And you shouldn't. And you shouldn't. No, I'm very similar. I'm very similar, except also now I'm like in my own kind of cocooning and like in
Yeah.
the middle of a transformation, right? Like I'm becoming somebody else right
Right.
now. So
Yes.
in that,
Yeah.
I'm also learning that um I'm also learning to sometimes not share. And
Right.
that was
Right.
difficult for me because I had to do so much work to share that then it
Yeah.
became, I'm just going to say everything all the time because like that's what
Mm.
validates the work that I did.
Mhm.
And now I'm
Yeah.
in a space of like, actually, I don't want to say this, or I'm not ready to say
Yeah.
this, or like allowing
Right.
a little bit of that nuance exist versus
Mhm.
saying it all. Because yeah, I mean, it's tempting, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to get into newer ways of being too, and like balancing that out a little bit
Yeah.
better in the
Yeah, not everybody deserves to have access to you all the time. Not everybody deserves to have full, authentic access to you at all times. And at
Mhm.
first, I thought the idea of like regulating myself had more to do with me, like being inauthentic or me needing to, package things in a nice way for each other. But in real life, I don't care. Like I'm not here for everybody. I'm not here for everybody's comfort. And so I'm going to say what I authentically want to say. I'm going to be who I authentically am. And also, I'm not always going to be accessible because that's life. I'm not a fake, like I'm not, I'm not a product. I'm a person. So it's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, that definitely took me to my 40s to stop really caring about people's feedback. Oh, if you people would like you a little more if you weren't so like negative. And I was like, I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic. I'm just saying the things that are happening. What do you mean? Like, how is that negative? I
Mhm.
didn't cause this. Like, why do we all need to pretend that stuff isn't happening? Anyhow,
Don't get me started.
right? Like social media, right? Okay, we won't go that we won't go too far down that hill. But like it's just I cannot. So when
Yeah.
we think about like and this is all kind of ties into the idea of more authentic personal branding. And personal
Mhm.
branding came about from the idea that like you as a person are not just a person, but you are also a brand, right? Like,
Yeah.
so those are the sorts of things that like I struggle with as a personal brand are just like which parts of me are part of the brand and which parts of me are part of the person. You know,
Yeah.
I
How
that's
has
where
that
I
been? Because for me, I don't think that I've created much separation between the two, and it hasn't got
yeah.
been to a space where that has become bothersome. Like
Mm,
I am the
yeah.
brand, right? And that's like my
Right.
core values for my brand are very similar to the core values for my life. You know what I
Of
mean?
course. Of course. So I would say honestly that when I have to do something that I just don't have it in my heart to do. Like if I
Mhm.
have 3 interviews lined up that day and I am just like I want to lay on the ground instead, like I will say to my partner, I'll be like, "Oh, got to go be Di Cerulo." So in that way, I'm very aware of the differences in sort of the me as a real person, I wear soft clothes. I drink too much coffee. My hair is always up off my face. I'm coloring in my eyebrows. Like, guys, like, honestly, like, real me is a real person. I
Yeah.
am usually covered in something that a kid has wiped their nose or face on me. I am just the realest person, right? Like that's my real life. That's my real self. But like I'm telling my 8-year-old that I don't want to hear another fart joke. Like that's my real life. That's me, the person. But Di Cerulo, the brand, kind of a different thing. She's going through different things, I guess, or maybe less things.
Yeah. I think I love that a lot because I think one of the things I think through as a photographer is we have multiple looks with each client, right? And so we
Hmm.
have this question of like, who are we going to be in all of these different sets? And I think social
Yeah.
media is kind of similar. Like there
Yeah.
is the Damali that never wears makeup and that does not like pants. She is very
Right.
real. And there is
Right.
the Damali that like I'm in this space after 7 years of being a
Hmm.
photographer. I think we're at 7. Um, I really enjoy being photographed and I really
Yeah.
enjoy getting my makeup done. And I really enjoy
Hmm.
this like expression of like, how are we going to see something different? And I think one of the patterns I see with my clients is that we like to make it seem like it's different. And I don't think that it's
Yes.
different. I think it's just like, I think we all have like a sum of 100 and every value is just a little bit different. Like sometimes you're heavier on the chill side or the glam side or whatever, but we're always us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like sometimes I have clients who look at their photos and they're like, who is she? Or
Wow. Yeah.
it's like this like reminiscent, like it's like something other, right? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand it and I want us to see it like, no, that is you. It's just a different version of you, but it's still you.
Right.
And I like, yeah,
Right.
like the Damali note with no pants is to equal or greater value as the Damali that
Greater
loves to like,
value. Right.
yeah, like
Exactly.
they're all
Exactly.
they're all amazing. Is my point.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. I guess that's the realist, right? So like if you are figuring out like how to coach people and talk about their personal brands, you have to understand where those lines are. You have to understand where those versions of yourself live and sort of where they intersect and who you want to become and who your highest self is. So it's not like who's
Mm,
she, it's she's you, in your best highest future. So like I think that that's the coolest. Okay. So I would love to keep talking about this particular, but I want to swerve a little tiny bit and be like, how did you get here? How did you go from being like moving to the US to like now you're now you're a New York photographer. Like now you have a studio in Brooklyn. How did we go from point A to point B here? It seems like a lot of steps on the way.
Oh, lots and lots of steps. So I
Right?
came
Feels
to the
like a lot of
conclusion,
steps.
well, yeah. I will give y'all the Clip Notes version because that we'll save that for like the 20-hour masterclass someday. But I came to this country when I was 3. So I really, New York is like the truest home that I've ever had, right?
Right.
While we did visit and go home a lot when I was kids, it's,
Hmm.
you're in that middle, right? Where I am Guyanese by birth, but
Hmm.
Americanized by kind of culture. But then of course culture is still very important to us. So like we have
Right.
family dinners every Sunday, that kind of deal.
Right.
Ooh, that sounds so early. So we're gonna fast forward.
We are still much too early for our Cliff Notes.
Too early, starting from Guyana, that's like, okay. So
Yeah.
I went to school for communication arts. And the idea back then was that I really wanted to be like Ava DuVernay. I really wanted to be a director or like Shonda Rhimes, a
Yes.
producer. I love to write. Writing has always, I have like, writing is the only constant in my life. I
Hmm.
started reading when I was 3, and I've been writing in journals and writing stories and all these things since like as
Yes.
early as I can remember. So
Yeah.
I got to college and I was like, well, why not be a TV show writer? Like that sounds amazing. And so I went
Mm.
to school for that. I got my master's in it. I did do production work for a while there, but it was very brutal coming out of school for me.
Yes.
In New York, I can't even remember the year. So I did some work there, but ended up at a real job, as everybody likes to
Right.
call it.
As
And
people
so
say. Yes.
as people say, I went back to having a regular 9 to 5, and I worked for a really great tech company for a few years. And that was like one of those moments where you're like, "Ooh, I feel like I made it, right? Like I have a salary. Oh my
Right.
God,
Yeah. Tech company. Absolutely.
right? I have a big girl job with really cool benefits,
I
and
have cards. Yeah.
right, like it's
They
very,
say my name on them.
it's very cool. And it's also when I was the most saddest of my entire
Hmm.
life. Like I was
Yes.
completely depressed and I was having panic
Yes.
attacks at night. And
Hmm.
I realized that this still wasn't it. And that was around
Right.
my 30th birthday. Um,
Mm.
I probably a little bit before. Like you like moving stuff towards your late 20s, and as you start to look at 30, you're like, I
Start to
don't think
take
this is
stock.
what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. I don't know if
that
this is
job.
it. Yeah.
I'm not sure because like you get that job and you're like, this could be the job that you have for the rest of your life.
Right.
It
Right.
could have been.
Right.
And when I realized that, I was like, this is not the job that I want to have for the rest of
Yeah.
my like this
I
isn't
don't want to be
I
here
don't
forever. Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
don't like bureaucracy. I don't like the office politics. I don't like any of it. So
Yes.
that's when I
Yes.
decided to do photography because of my major, because of the work that I had done. My uncle had gifted me a really great DSLR that I had
Hmm.
never used. I had like, you get busy and it
Yeah.
just starts to like dust. And
Yeah.
I was going to Bali with my partner for a vacation, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I like try to like
Mm.
vlog? And why do I try to like do
Yeah.
these like I'll be a
Why
YouTuber.
not?
It was hard. I was not meant to be
Yes.
not at that time. I was not, it was too early for me in my own like visibility journey. I was still like, that's when I realized that I had lots of issues with looking at myself, seeing myself, seeing other people see me recording. Like there were all these really big uncomfortable things that I did
Yeah.
not know that I had issues with until I tried when we
Right.
were in Bali. And when I came home, I was like, I don't always like the way that I look. Actually, I'm really struggling with my image and all of these things. And I was like, okay, let's work on that. And so photography for me became this
Mhm.
expression of healing some things within myself. Like I say
Yeah.
that photography found me. It's not the other way around. I was like, I want to figure this out, and I don't think I'm the only one. And I quickly
Right.
learned going onto world and photographing my sisters and people, people that I know, people
Mm.
who I thought were super confident, and also see them with the nerves and with the, not liking certain
Wow.
things. And
Yeah.
that's when it became super interesting. I was like, let's figure this out. How do we work through it? And so that's kind of where photography and me just started to take off together. So it had that personal component. I was doing it for me, but I wasn't, and I was doing it for other people and I
Right.
wasn't. And like together, it just kept me going. And I got to a place where I could quit my job, and I've been full time. I think this is my 4th year being full time and on my
Wow.
own. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's so great. It's so great. Like, y'all who listeners, like, I feel like I say this to everybody that's living their best life, but everybody who's living their best life seems to have found that thing in themselves that they needed to heal and become the adult that they needed. It's in everybody that I talk to, it's always the funniest thing because they have found that thing and they are helping other people with it. They have found that hurt and they are helping other people heal it. And that's such a meaningful way to spend your time and find your spark. That's so cool. I love that. So what's next for you? Like what's next down the road on the amazing journey to become your highest self? What's next?
That is such a great question. And I'm gonna give a real answer. I'm not entirely sure right now. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
good.
I'm okay with that, which is that's a
Yeah,
lot of growth. If you knew me in the past,
that's a
like
lot of growth. Yeah, no, same.
I don't like not knowing. I don't like
Yeah,
I need to like know, right? Because it gives you that
right.
false sense of safety. Um
Yes.
what I
Especially in the world
what
today.
what
Yeah,
I do know is that I'm here to be a photographer for a while. Like I
good.
still love this work. I still love inviting clients in. I love showing them things that they have never seen before
Mhm.
of themselves. I love being a photographer. I love what I've built as a photographer, the team that I have, and I think that's going to be here for a little bit. And I also want to expand Damali, the brand, a bit more. I know that I meant to be on some stages. I have been on a few
Yes.
stages. I've given a few talks. I'm getting ready for a few talks in Q1. And so I want to start taking that a little bit more seriously and actually start to apply
Good.
for things. So far, it's been opportunities that have come in. I haven't yet like
Right.
gone all out seeking because I
Yeah.
think I'm afraid. So
Right.
I'm
Right.
ready for a little bit of that too, of like seeing some of those bigger stages and writing a book and getting my thought, like all
Yes.
of these words that I've
Yes.
been
I
writing
love
all of
that.
these years. I
Mhm.
think that I'm finally in a place where I value my own writing, which was such a hard
Right.
journey for me, and
Yes.
I can let other people see it now. So that I think that's what's next.
Love that. Love that. Honestly, writing a book, just start. Just start. Anytime I interview another author, the only advice anybody ever gives is just start. And it's like, you're so right. You're so right. Just start because it's like, yes, it's in your head. Yes, it's magic. You know what? Don't think all that other junk out. Just write it for you. Write it for you and just start. That's it.
I love it.
So amazing. I love all of that for you. I'm so excited for you. How
Thank you.
do I mean, you're amazing. People are going to hear this and they're going to be like, "Oh, I'm so jealous of Di. I want to work with Damali too." How do people reach out to you? How do they work with you? How do they get in touch?
Absolutely. I mean, the easiest place to come check me out is on Instagram. So I'm at by Damali. Those are all A's and a Y at the end, Damally. So
Mhm.
I'm at by Damali, and you can check out my work, send me a message, or click on the link and head over to my website where you can formally book some time if you want to discuss a photo shoot, which I'm happy to do. So yeah, Instagram is the easiest and I think probably most accessible
Yeah.
way for folks to get their introduction to me. And I like saying it more than my website because the website is the polished view. It's very beautiful. But
Right.
my
Right.
IG is very me. You're going to see me in my face and my thoughts and what I care about. And it's also important to me that the clients that work with me share those similar values, that we're not like super
Right.
diametrically opposed.
Right.
So you
Right.
get to kind of spy on me and see who I really am and decide like, would I be comfortable in a photo shoot with this woman? Because that is a
Right.
question that we'll all be asking when we book a photographer.
Yes.
Will I be comfortable here? Because if you're not, you're going to waste your money.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, find me on Instagram.
That is super that's super fun. Okay. So yes, find you on Instagram. Completely agree. I know people travel to you. How far have people come from I've always wanted to ask you this. How far away have people come to
Ooh.
do a photo shoot with you?
Um, I think Costa Rica
Right?
has been the furthest so far. So yeah, I've had
So
in
far. Yeah.
Canada
Yeah.
and Costa Rica. So yeah, from both sides to New
From
York.
both sides. That's
I'm lucky.
awesome.
New York is a very accessible city, right? It's not
Right.
super hard to get to. So a lot of folks, a lot of my business, probably 50-60% of it comes from folks who fly in from out of town.
That is so cool. I love that for you. And they're doing the right thing. Like if you haven't seen her photos, I'm going to have them just like linked below in the show notes. Oh my goodness. Like I
No
don't do
pressure though. I'm
anything.
always like, oh my God, they got on a plane to see me? Oh, we better.
Oh my gosh. No, absolutely. Anytime I see your photos, I'm just like, it's like right in my face. I'm like, oh, Di, we're doing this. We're doing this and we're just going to go. We're just going to go. We're going to jump off the cliff. It's fine. So, anyhow, perfect. I am so excited for you. I'm so excited to work with you. And I am so happy for everybody that's going to reach out to you from listening to this conversation. If you are thinking of working with Damali, I could not recommend her enough to you. So she will have sent me the links to working with her website, all of those things, and they will be in the show notes if you would like to connect with her. And I definitely recommend that you do, whether it's for getting photographed or your personal brand, or even if you're a photographer looking to have the type of following and the type of, love that Damali gets, definitely reach out to her. So y'all, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to the Indomitable podcast for more incredible stories of humaning. Remember, my new book, Indomitable, A Foster Care Story, is available everywhere you get your books, and it is currently 5 stars on Goodreads. I would like to thank all my Indomitable friends who came out to visit me at the book club event last week. It is always so rewarding to see people being impacted by my story and sharing their journeys with me. Thank you for doing that. If you have any upcoming events you'd like me to bring the Indomitable experience to, please just submit a request via my website at dicerulo.com. And finally, as ever, I'm so happy to have you here in community with me. And remember, together we are truly indomitable. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.